The sheep are back after so many weeks of being in the flocks, eating their grass, enjoying Easter Sunday service with family and friends, drinking a lot of wine, having a good time, and all that kind of stuff. The sheep is back. The flock of news Friday is back, and what's this? The LCK records a 42.7 billion Korean dollars deficit between 2022 and 2024. What is this? Um, seriously? They're that broke? Are they that broke? This is not really how we start our Friday here, guys. With this huge of a news. Okay, maybe I'm just exaggerating a bit. Let's just hear what our boy David had to say.
The LCK is unquestionably the biggest domestic league in League of Legends around the world, and even then, it's still apparently not profitable. There's a thread on Reddit right now from an article discussing the financial state of the LCK and how they've been reporting losses through 2022, 2023, and 2024, and they've been growing as revenue has also been shrinking. The problem with this is that all the articles are in Korean, so I cannot read the original source, nor can I context any of the replies, which are saying that apparently a lot of the expense with the LCK that is driving it to extreme unprofitability is due to payments that Riot Korea has to make in the form of royalties. I can't confirm any of that, but I do want to talk about the sentiment that I see in the comments that is around, oh, but esports can afford to not be profitable. It's a marketing arm for Riot. To which I would say, sure, that's a fair point. If we didn't charge tens of millions of dollars for teams to get into these franchise leagues, and they obviously are going to expect a profit, because why would you ask them to invest $10 million if you weren't expecting to give them a return on their investment in some way, shape, or form? Otherwise, you just be like, hey, come partner with us. It'll probably be good for your brand. You might profit off it a little bit. We ain't going to charge you that much. We know it's ultimately going to operate at a loss, but it's good marketing for our game. That, in theory, would have been the answer. But no, franchising in the current low esports ecosystem was set up to give money back to teams and make it profitable for them because they want this to be a sport. Reality is, our revenue streams in esports are minuscule compared to what traditional sports has. You have no ability to spend as much money on your favorite teams and on your fandom as you do in traditional sports, let alone the consumer habits of esports fans, being that we traditionally spend less money because we don't pay for broadcasting rights. We can enjoy pretty much every ounce of our esport and support our favorite team for free without doing anything. So consumers got used to that, and that's a problem as well. So again, can't comment on the LCK financials because I can't read any of the articles that they're about. But I can say, if you think that this is not supposed to be a profitable venture for the teams involved, at least, you're severely mistaken.
Huh. So that's how we're gonna start, huh? Okay then. Let's just go dive right in. So turns out the franchise entry fees were reduced by a whopping 33% for 2024 in the LCK teams. And so the article, which is produced by Clement Chocat, weird name of course, it said that the LCK has become the long dominance of esports excellence, but unfortunately right now it is increased financial pressure. Okay, so according to the recent disclosures by the deal site, the LCK Corporation has accumulated a net loss of 42.7 KRW over the past 3 years. Now, I'm thinking KRW, I think the meaning of KRW, let me just see. One, Korean won. Okay, Korean won. Okay, sorry about that. So 42.7 billion Korean won. So if I were to translate into our currency, Jamaican currency, let's just say 4 that's gonna be like a little too much. So let's just say about 100,000. That might equivalent to like almost $11,000 in Jamaican dollars in our currency, of course. Now just imagine the bill. Just imagine in billions of dollars. Holy cow! That is just a lot of money being lost in the last few years. The annual deficit has been escalated from 8.1 Korean wons to 13.2 billion wons, and now to 28.5 billion wons last year, with revenue nearly half the same period from 29 million wons to 11.4 billion wons. It is not all rosy for the LCK, I can tell you. It's not great. And as you can see from this chart, it is it is this right here, it is not a pretty sight at all. Let's just roof. Okay, okay, I'm gonna roof. It this right there, it is not a pretty picture for the LCK financially at all. It's like 2022, they're looking fine right now. 2023 is like, okay, we are teetering a little bit, but we're fine. But now it's like 2024, it's like, oof, oof, this is not good. This little thing right there is not good. Now, the behind the numbers lies a combination of high operational costs, limited revenue streams, and structural challenges within the franchise system. I think, from what my boy David said that. So you're telling me that franchising is really hamstrung some teams and cause the LCK revenue to not as profitable as many people seems? Oh my goodness, it's just like, franchising has been like the problem all along for the last several years without many people knowing it. And now the chickens have come home to roost. Well, technically not much, but you get what I mean. So, let's talk about the franchise model right now, which has been like the hottest topic in all of esports for the last several years. So, introduced in 2021, the LCK's franchise system aimed to provide stability for teams and unlock new revenue sharing opportunities. Because I think what David said, we're gonna make esports a real sports like the MLB and the NHL and the NBA going on. Like, no, no, like, come on, people. Have you have broadcasting rights? Do you have like ESPN broadcasting rights or the CW broadcasting rights or any other broadcasting rights? Do you have any broadcasting rights at all? You don't? You don't have rights. Okay then. Cool. Moving on. With the league responsible for every aspect of operations from revenue management to broadcasting, there's that key. Well, all right. So there is that key information, venue management, which is taking care of the LCK park and all those kind of things, and those things cost a ton to operate all of those every single day for like the last couple of years, and most importantly, broadcasting. I think I heard from a long time ago from like Monte Cristo and Thorin from the way back in the Southern Insight podcast is that the LCK doesn't even broadcast a single Kia sponsor. And yet Kia has been the main sponsor for the for the league for the last several years. And they're in their backyard, and yet they can't even broadcast their own product. Like their broadcasts are kind of like Hanwoo Bank and BBQ Chicken and all kinds of stuff. Yet they can't even sponsor one of the main products, of course. So these two have major situations, and the financial burden has grown significantly. High fixed cost combined with the mandatory serve revenue distribution to participating teams have created a rigid structure ill suited to the league's current income levels. Okay, let's be honest, I'm not a financial person in there, but the high cost with the financial situation that is in Korean right now, marketability and all kinds of stuff, trying to give like a suitable revenue to all these things, to all the franchise teams that has been there. And now it turns out it's like, huh, I'm not sure this kind of thing is working right now. So in response to the ongoing financial stress, the LCK Corporation reduced franchise entry fees by 33% in 2024. Outing is projecting revenue by 33 billion won. The additionally 13 billion won and financial support was distributed to teams last year, highlighting the urgency to stabilize team finances. Now, the industry observers point to a deeper concerns. The LCK's revenue streams remain too narrow. Ticket sales, domestic sponsorships, like the one that I mentioned, and broadcasting rights form the core of its income, but they are proven insufficient in offsetting growing expenses. Meanwhile, major international sponsorships and media deals are typically handled by Riot Games' global headquarters, limited local revenue opportunities for LCK Corporation. Oh, okay. So, the LCK cannot even hold their water right now. So, the LCK has been pretty much buoyed by Riot for the last couple of years. And unfortunately for them, they cannot even do anything to fend off themselves. So, all the profits that is taken care by the Riot Global headquarters, your Red Bulls, your Mercedes Benz, your Kias, your Opera GX, and all kind of stuff. And it's squeezing the local revenue from the LCK Corporation. And despite its prestige and global fan base, the LCK finds itself in crossroads. Its ability to adapt both financially and operationally will be crucial to ensuring its long-term viability. As esports continues to expand worldwide, the LCK situation reflects a wider challenge. Finding probability in the scene still shaped more by passion than a sustainable business model. Let me just highlight the keyword. Finding profitability in a scene still shaped more by passion than a sustainable business model. It is pretty much the situation that we are right now in esports. And by the way, thank you all for consuming my shorts on TikTok. Because I have one short that mentioned about this, about the marketability and the failure because of it. And I believe that Riot kind of missed the profitability by a long shot. And even LCK, the most successful region in the last 3 years in terms of championship, unfortunately, it's not looking great. It's not looking highly high water. And I think it's because of they're trying to become like a big sport, like your let's just go local real let's just go locally in the Korean scene. Your KBOs, your Korean baseball leagues, all kind of stuff. Your Korean basketball leagues that they have. They're trying to become like profitable, of course. They're trying to utilize something that will sustain them, something that will give them profit, something that will, give them financial stability for like a long time. But as we all know, in the crisis that is esports winter, that may not happen. That is pretty much not happening. And you are seeing the absolute devastation by so many teams. So many teams right now, even the top tier teams are getting absolutely cut below the knees because of the ticket sales being influx and the domestic sponsorships. And even the domestic sponsorships are not helping them. But the key word is the broadcasting rights. And I am going to ask so many people, and I'm guilty of this as well. And I am going to ask some people in Korea, not all people, but some people in Korea. How many of you have paid for broadcasting and ticket sales? Or how much money have you contributed towards your esports? Because yes, Akeem, I am guilty of this as well. I am guilty of watching esports for free. Even I know that you have to do something in order to maintain the paywall. Like, look at MLS right now. MLS is literally on a paywall. They're given season passes. Like, they're doing this because of him, of course, but they are doing this because they wanted to cash in on their profitability, ticket prices, and broadcasting sales. And they are doing this based on season passes. They're doing this on a paywall. And OGN and years ago, OGN and all kind of stuff used to have a paywall, used to have a probability scale, and people used to pay for these things. They have to pay like so much money in order for them to get like 720p or 1080p to do something. And unfortunately, right now, we're getting everything for free. And right now, it's literally hurting the franchise. Not even the franchise model that has been looked at is not working anymore. It's pretty much the reason why the LTA is now in a current situation in which like pro rel has existed and find guest slots and all that kind of stuff. Do I believe that the LCK might go to that route? I don't know, but the long-term stability of Korea's premier esports league, it's in question, no doubt. And these charts are not looking great at all. And that's just for the next 3 years. We don't know what this year going to be like, but we'll find out in the next couple of months. But if these numbers, but if like let's say it's gonna go like minus 300, 350, and their thing is kind of like below 100, it's gonna be a huge problem for most of the LCK teams. So it might be a problem. And I think it might be time for Riot to maybe cut down on some of the things. And it sucks, and it really sucks because the LCK has been not only the most successful league in terms of world championships and MSIs, all that kind of stuff, but in terms of like well-known players and their culture and their likability to some broadcasters. And I know some of the broadcasters: Chronicle, Atlas, D God, who's hosting, LOL, who does some hosted, Valdez, um, oof, Ox. Those guys could be on the firing line soon. Those guys could be cut off because I don't know, man. Our profitability is not looking great. Our situation right now is not looking great, and this is for the last 3 years. But I think the key word is pretty much simple. Profitability in the scene still shaped by more by passion than a sustainable business model. That is the key situation because I feel like we are just so focused on trying to become like a sport, like what David said in his video. We are trying so hard to become a sport that we are losing the thing that makes esports profitable. Because here's the thing: what makes esports great back then? It's that there's five guys on the server. Don't care about financials. Don't care about how much money you make. Don't care your skills. Don't care anything. You bring in five guys to come play, and that's it. We are now to the point of like we need five good guys to play. We need to be marketable. We need to have good sponsorships. We need to do this. We need to do that. And unfortunately, they could have at least come here, make yourself a profit, and then, get a loss. They would at least eat that loss and they will take it, and that will, hurt them in the long term, but it will at least be sustainable. But the problem is, even the mighty LCK themselves are in a situation that they cannot even be sustainable. And with the situation right now is that we're gonna have like one LCK main event, stadium event, except for like the homestands all year. It almost feels like the LCK is getting less and less and less being a spectacle and feeling like it's gonna be like every single esport right now. Playing in studio most of the time. Not getting to like being profitable. And if that's going to make, sustainable for like the long term, so be it. But LCK is gonna have a lot of changes being made. And I don't know, man. This franchise model that has been in the works for the last several years is just not working right now. It's not working for the LTA. It's not working for the LEC. It's just becoming a curse word in some parts. So maybe I think it's time for us to just go back to Pro Rel in the next couple of years. If this situation does not work, maybe that might be the answer. But I mean, who knows? Who knows at this point? So pretty disturbing stuff around the LCK right now in terms of financial situation because yeah, it is not too rosy for the most prestigious league in the world. And remember, I'm not a financial expert, but even I know these numbers and say this is not looking great. This is not looking great at all. And if these things will continue for the next couple of years, they gotta make some tough changes. Some tough decisions will be made. Not only for the team wise, for ticket prices, but also the broadcasting. Maybe it'll be like the LPL, it'll be like no broadcasting at all. Not only for the English broadcast, but maybe the Korean, of course. Because this is also affecting Korean broadcasting as well. So yeah, tough times for the LCK in terms of financial situation. I may say hopefully they get bounce back on their feet, but in esports, who knows? Let's get to the other news. So Caps decided that he's staying with G2, which is not a surprise by anybody. I already mentioned that a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago. So the question is that why? Well, Caps' agent told G Esports that we considered all options. Hmm. So it said that they had considered all options, but G2 remained the top choice. El Quasi, the lead agent EMEA at the Proxy Talent, said that G2 are second to none when it comes to facilitating conditions needed to win. Rasmus, nicknamed Caps, has been very happy with his time for G2 so far. It said the offer presented to Rasmus is extremely competitive in the current market and accurately represents its value in Riot's new financial regulations. He is still valued as the most successful player in the West has produced, which makes sense. Now, the previous salary caps have been the highest player in 2025, and despite the salary reduction, it can still be the case. He probably remains the highest paid player in the league, but his deal now makes sense given the new context. So I think it makes sense. The timing of the deal is huge because it takes back to November, and there were some notable reasons with his career. So for Cass to stay at G2 for a reduced profit is huge and huge in that sense. But I think the one word is used is like legacy. He is the most decorated LEC player by a mile, and he wants to leave G2 on a pretty much a higher note than it's supposed to be. It's said that Erasmus is the type of person who puts his competitive interest first, and that G2 are present to us in the duration. When we build a team, we don't just think about next year. It's about creating the best possible environment for long-term success, and that started keeping caps. Now, Caps may approach with Caps was asked by so many Asian teams, and we say we shouldn't forget that Rasmus has been to two World Finals and made many deep runs internationally. Any team in the world would be interested in a player of his quality. He is up there with the best to ever play this game, and they wanted to like keep him for competitive reasons. Financially, he's that important to them. Profitability and marketability, of course. And I believe he is probably the only thing that will make G2 a world championship team. Like, look at him right now. He looked like a mafia boss about to shake up some Croatian mothers or something. He looks pretty fly, to be honest. And you keep him for the next 2 years. And this is important for G2 right now, is that this current iteration of G2 are good enough, may or may be good enough to like compete for like international success. They're taking the short term success of domestically into long-term success for international tournaments. They wanted to peak at international tournaments, which is probably the main goal, which is something that Caps have not done pretty much ever in his career. Not since he won MSI in 2019 have Caps been more successful in international stage. The last two times they were eliminated by BLG, and right now, if you're G2, you have to feel like we keep Caps, and I feel like we have a chance. We have a chance to compete in domestically and internationally. And from a marketability standpoint, from a G2 marketability standpoint, he is a big draw to not only the G2 brand, but also to the LEC as a whole. Because if you take Caps out of the equation, I don't think the LEC, I believe the LEC will survive, but it will not have like that big name. Because let's be brutally honest, other than G2, who else is that big name star to look at? Humanoid? Vladi? Larson? He's kind of washed. Jojo PN? That's pretty much the point. I feel like that pretty much cement my point. Caps to G and G2 is the equivalent of Faker and T1. They are joint at the hip, and they have been instrumental to not only the team success but the domestic success as well. And Caps is willing to take a pay cut in order for them to be competitive, in order for him to give him the best chance to trying to win the one thing that has been eluded him for so long, and that is winning a World Championship. Because if you look at his G2 lineup right now, Broken Blake, Skumon, Hansama, and Labrov, I think you can say G2 are like the third best team in LEC, maybe the second. And I think that's a okay thing. But if you can get this G2 team peaking at the right time, competing so well, and maybe do well enough to compete against some of the best teams internationally, maybe I think like G2 have a chance. But because of the competitiveness of a Common Corp and Fnatic and Core in this case, you can make an argument that it pushed G2 to become like a better team. And hell, even you can make an argument like BDS is starting to cook right there. I mean, they're the ones who beat G2, of course. We'll get to that later as we go to the domestic stuff. But right now, the LEC is more competitive as we have in years, which is probably a good thing, I guess. So maybe the competitiveness and maybe him being in G2 is giving them the best chance to win. Because right now, if you go to any region, the LTA is not looking that hot. The LECK is too widely competitive and too restrictive. And even the LPL, I just don't feel any greater chance. So I feel like this is his home region. This is his home, literally. And he wants to stay and he wants to do it for minimum budget. And he wants to do this to give this team a proper chance to win it all, which I believe they can do it. He is the most successful player the West has ever produced. Can't believe I'm saying this, but he's better than Perks by a mile, which is weird enough for me to say, but the body of proof and the value cannot be matched by anybody. His level of play has been hit, has been weighing a couple of years, but gun to head, I will still have Caps winning a domestic title over any other players if you give me a chance. Hell, I will say right now, I say Caps will give me a chance to win at least a couple of games against the Asian teams in an MSI or in a world setting. That's the big thing. He is giving you a chance to win against some of the best teams in all the world. And I think that's a huge statement to have. So, legacy, competitiveness, I think it all makes sense. And I think if you're Cavs right now, it makes sense for him as well to be financially stable in a time where, like, as we mentioned before, the profitability right now in esports is just not looking great. But stability, legacy, competitiveness, that's all that matters for Caps and for G2 to have the crown jewel of your team to be there. That's a huge deal. So, this news just came out of 17 days ago, like a long time, but it's still mandatory to read that FlyQuest signed Gankos from the Division 2 LFL and will become a six-man for the LTN roster once Whippo decided to step down and become like a coach, of course. So so he is gonna be here developing and all kinds of stuff. He's become an up and comer play. He's become an up and coming player. And just look at this. He has reached Grandmaster in League of Legends and Immortal 3 in Valorant. Now let me just look. Let me just look at Valorant ranks. I haven't talked about Valorant that much, and I haven't even played Valorant. But Immortal 3 is at the oh wow, Immortal 3 is huge. Immortal 3 is huge. I mean, Immortal 3 is nothing to sneeze at. It's like second to like Radiant, which is like the highest tier. So that's a huge deal. So he is pretty good on both fronts. Now he made his Dutch series debut at 16. Remember, he started playing games at 14 years old, and he played his debut at 16. He played for MCOM Esports, finishing fourth. He earned a spot to Nasir Esports in the TCL. He of course moved up to the LFL Division 2. And you know, 17-year, 3 months. Replacing Centaurin by 3 months to become the youngest ever import to ever play in Europe in North America. That is huge. Now, ERLs has been like hit or miss. From Elka, of course, to Tukulu, of course, who by the way, used to play for FlyQuest. So some of them have been hit or miss in some cases. But Papa Smitty, good old Papa Smitty, said that we made a decision last year to fearless draft, which contained the split one as part of the year kickoff, and not to the fall competitive format. Without the ability to draft comfort champions, having lots of weapons in the draft has become way more important almost overnight. Active rosters have been bigger than just the base five is suddenly a way different conversation than it was in the past 15 years of League of Legends competition. And this is a guy who has been to a lot of League of Legends, who has seen a lot of League of Legends, cast in a lot of League of Legends, and have coached a lot of League of Legends, and now being in the League of Legends. So he knows that the situation of League of Legends has been changed with the fact that Fearless is now becoming a thing in the longer year of the League of Legends ecosystem. So you have to like make a changes. And if you look at his stats, he only played two champions in this year, Rumble and Irelia. Rumble more meta, Irelia not so much. But if you look at Whipple for in this case, so far this split or this year, he has been cooking on Scion. He's been working his Yorick game. In fact, Yorick is not a big thing right now in all the domestic leagues. And he's been fine. But, what happens with comfort champ? What happens if the champions, you know, are not his style of picks? What if the comfort champions are not there? Would you throw the young guy in the fire and just see if he competed? Remember, the guy is like 17. Well, okay, wait. Let me see. Okay, the guy is 17. This guy is like 17 years old. I'm not sure if he wanted to put the guy out there in a highly competitive situation, especially when you look like FlyQuest are probably like the best team in the LTA right now. I'm not sure if they're ready to put him out there. So, put him, sit him on the bench, learn the craft from Whipple and all kind of stuff. See what works and not, and if that works, you may have to throw him in summer, of course. And if that works out, and if they do work out, then maybe I feel like FlyQuest could be good enough to compete well in Worlds again. But to have a 17-year-old player come into your region and under the tutelage of one of the most polarizing top laners in all of Western League of Legends, with a talent of Whippo, would be huge. So I think this is a massive signing for FlyQuest. Gank goes. I think I pronounced it right. Yeah, Gank goes. Okay, that should do it for all the sheep news for this Friday. Let's look at the domestic league. Now, unfortunately, I will be brutally honest to you. It's not Friday. Now, when I'm gonna upload this video, it's gonna be Friday for most of you people. But today is Thursday, the 24th of April. So all the leagues are not gonna be all the LPL is gonna be played on Friday. So it might change. But we can still look at we can look at the standings going into the weekend, of course. So going into the LET weekend, Common Corp is on top, Fnatic second, and G2 are third, who finally tasted their first defeat over Team BDS. And then you got Koi, who have 3 losses, and you can say 2 of them from the top teams. I wonder what Koi's third loss is. I wonder what Koi's third defeat is. I wonder. So Koi lost to Common Corp, to G2, and their third loss to Vitality. Ugh, to Vitality, not great. In fact, Vitality is in the same record as SK, Koi, in some cases. So you got the proverbial top 3, the pretty much clear-cut top 3 in terms of who's my 3 best teams to be compete for the LEC titles. You got a pretty meeky middle of the pack teams. Koi, BDS, and Heretics who have a say in it. And then you got Rogue and Giant X and kind of floundering just a little bit. Combined 3-9. Just awful at this point. So I just say right now, it's going to be pretty much fascinating with the LEC for the next couple of days. And next week's game, or this weekend's games, could be highly interesting. Okay, so let me just do my regular. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Okay, so this weekend's games is going to be so much fun because this week is the roadshow. Yes, the first of 2 LEC roadshows for this split. Oh man. Now I haven't watched a lot of LEC this year. In fact, I haven't watched LEC in the last couple of months because of all the things that's going on with the LEC. But holy cow, the fact that we have a roadshow for only 2 days, it's going to be only 2 days, but man, it's going to be fun. G2 versus Giant X, then Koi versus Fnatic on the 20 on Saturday, and that'll be the first 2 matches, and then we get the El Clasico, G2 versus Fnatic, and the Spanish El Clasico of Koi versus Giant X. And I will tell you what, these fans is going to get 2 amazing days of League of Legends at the Madrid Arena in Madrid, which, by the way, is going to be hosted by Koi. And I'm just gonna look at that Madrid Arena. I think it's been hosting the the Madrid basketball team. Okay, then sorry about that. That was a weird neighbor, of course. Oh, so let me just rephrase myself. This is the multi-purpose Pavilion Madrid Arena, and it's going to be, whew, it is going to be loud. Look at these. Now, unfortunately, because of esports, I don't think it's going to fill that much of a crowd, of course, but it's going to have a crowd. This is, of course, where the WTA Tour Championships will take place, the Madrid Masters, and the CBS Estudiantes basketball team. So, not much big sporting events that happen much. But the fact that this is going to host an esports event, and by the way, this is the arena that is going to take place. It's going to be such fascination. The crowd is going to have a good time. It'll be the first ever roadshow we're going to have in the middle of spring since like the spring finals all the way in 2021. So that's a huge deal. A huge deal for Koi, for the LEC, for everybody. And it's going to be fascinating to watch. So hopefully, if you have tickets in the Madrid area, you're going to go there and have a good time. If you don't, just go watch it. It's going to be a massive, it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere, of course. So that's for the LEC. To the LPL, and and so far the Alpha, we got the Group Ascent and the Group Nevada. Yeah, there it is. LGD has already booked their place into the Knights Knights rival group, which is going to be like the Nevada group will face off against some of the teams in the Group Ascent. Top esports are 7-1, but oh my goodness gracious, I just I can't trust top esports right now. Top esports are kind of like the girl, the kind of like the boyfriend, the boyfriend you're dating. Okay, let me just rephrase myself. Top esports are kind of like the girl you are dating, and she does some crazy stuff, and she said that she's never going to do that again, and she's still doing the crazy stuff. And you just have that feeling of, can you trust them? Can you really trust her? And right now they're 7-1, but I'm not sure they're trustworthy. Their game against Ninjas in Pajamas, especially in game two, is kind of like, oh my god, it's an eyesore. It's an absolute eyesore. They didn't manage to win the game, but it's just, it's just, it's just that I can't even trust them right now. I can't trust Top Esports with a 10-foot pole or something. Now let me just see if I got the right series. Is it Top Esports Ninjas Pajamas? Was it Top Ninjas Pajamas? I think it's Top versus Ninja Pajamas. Yes, it was Ninjas Pajamas. Look at game two. Just look at game two. Just I'm sorry, but just look at game two. I'm gonna trying to click here and just see if I can get it. Yeah, game two was 54 minutes. 54 minutes in which Ninjas in Pajamas have like a huge goal lead, then lost it, and it was kind of like a kind of like a tug and pull back and forth ropey dope game, and and Ninjas in Pajamas won. And yes, they didn't manage to win in 27 minutes, but I mean, these are the kind of games, and yes, it's more like Ninja Pajamas win the game than more like Top Esports win it. But these are the kind of games that I just don't feel like I can trust Top Esports to even do anything domestically or internationally. I just don't right now. So while they're 7-1, I just don't feel like they are kind of good enough to win. Now, as you can see, these are the matches from today. T um TWE just beat Weibo game in 2 games to 1. And JDG with a 2-0 win against anyone's legends, who, by the way, have been pretty good at 6-2. This is their second loss overall this entire tournament or this entire group stage. And the loss to our JDG team has been up and down. In fact, I feel like JDG and BLG are kind of like up and down, all split. Haven't been like a dominant team other than anyone's legend as a Victor's Gaming. But even the Victor's Gaming has been up and down. So I do I trust any LPL team at this point? Kind of. But even then, I'm not sure. So this weekend's games are TWE FPX, NIP versus BLG, EDG versus Ultra Prime, JDG Top Thunder Talk, and they got a triple header Sunday. Nip versus Anyone's Legends, Weibo versus IG, and Top Beats versus JDG. I think this game will be an absolute spicer of a game between these two eternal rivals. That's the LPL. For the LTA, ladies and gentlemen, the best of ones is no longer exist. Praise be. Because I don't care about viewership or anything. Best of ones sucks. It sucks because it doesn't give you any narrative. It sucks it doesn't give you any diversity. It sucks that we're in fearless, and LTA decided that best of ones are good for viewership. Like, come on, that's not it. But, calm down, Akeem. Calm your anger. You don't have to worry about best of ones anymore for probably for the future or ever, I guess. So this is the positioning phase of these standings. This is the best of one positioning phase. And as you all notice, the purple represents the teams that are going to be in one group, and the green represent the teams that are going to be in the other group. And as you can see right now, Cloud9 Disguised Lion in Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, Dignitas, FlyQuest, and Shopify Rebellion in the other group. And if you look at the bracket, the four teams are going to still be there, but they'll position based on how they do in their group stage. So these week's matches is 100 Thieves will take on FlyQuest. So they're probably going to do the bigger matches, of course, at the start of it. So yeah, 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest, Team Liquid versus Lion, and then Cloud9 Dignitas and Shopify Rebellion Dig. And I feel like the FlyQuest 100 Thieves is going to be the biggest matchup ever because 100 Thieves are not looking great early game wise, and especially top laner of Sniper have not looking great. And if he does hold it out against Whip of all players, I think that'll be fine. But if he doesn't, and their early game is not being great, that's gonna be a problem with FlyQuest. But FlyQuest has been a little bit iffy, I guess, with Masu getting so many deaths. So if their team fighting can do well, 100 Thieves, I think they have a chance. So I feel like this is a huge matchup. And it's also the first matchup of the whole week. So that's going to bode well for so many fans. So if I can put a prediction right now, I can say FlyQuest will win the series 2-1. But if 100 Thieves can overcome their top lane situation, if they can manage the team fight well, I can see a FlyQuest win. 100 Thieves win. But I'll give FlyQuest 2-1. I will give Team Liquid 2-0 against Lion. I think Lion's record in the positioning phase is kind of skewed because they haven't not faced the big name teams. But just like Top Esports, I just cannot trust Team Liquid. I just can't. Every single time Team Liquid has given you some kind of hope, they always find a way to make it so bad. Whether from the internationally sometimes, when they could not done well against Pain Gaming of all teams, domestically when they lost to Isurus in that one game, or in this case, losing to Disguised Toast. And prior to that game, no team from the bottom four ranked teams ever beat the top ranked teams. And Disguised was the only team to do it against Team Liquid. And honey, if I were Team Liquid, you better have Spawn back there because at this moment, I just don't feel like Team Liquid are good enough to win. I have them being Lions, but consider this is Team Liquid, I just don't trust them. I just don't trust them to do well. Now, can they beat Lion? Yes. Can they lose to Lion? Also, yes. We'll see how this goes. I have Cloud9 beating Disguised 2-0, and for Shopify Rebellion Dig, I say it'll be 2-1, but a lot of Cloud Fiesta in, of course. A lot of Fiesta that's going to take place. Quickly to the LCK. No surprises in today's games. Gen G and Hana Life Esports. Hana Life Esports game was a little edgy against the Freaks. No, not the Freaks. Genji absolutely wiped the Freaks. It was Hanalive versus Breon. Yes, Breon. It was a 2-0, but it doesn't feel like a 2-0. And it was a kind of a back and forth game, but Hanalive won. Doesn't matter. They're good. Next week is matches week. KT and Nosh and Red Force. You better rush out the Nosh and Red Force team. That is a scary team to look at. 4-3, but don't look at that 4-3 record. They have been pretty much the most mid-tier good team in the moment. T1 versus DK, and this is T1's first game in about a week since they lost to Fear BKX. And we'll see how they do against a really good DK team, who, by the way, are in the 5-1 position. And that's pretty much the match of the week. And then you got Freaks versus BKX, DRX versus Gen G, then T1 versus Bro, and then DK versus Hana Life. And that's also a tough game. So D Plus will have T1 and then Hana Life in the next 2 weeks. Whew! That's a tough fixture list, of course, for Hana Life, for D Plus to navigate through. And especially for T1, of course, we'll find out what will be their roster and how could they figure out their roster going into this week. And finally, to the LCP. Early days, of course, in the LCP. Not much to go on, not much to talk about. And there'll be games next week. So if we put up the next week games, we got Cheese with on Talon, SoftBank will take on GAM Esports, and then Team Secret Whale to take on DFM, and Flying Orchid will take on Vikings Esports. And the mid-season format, it's kind of different. So it's a single round robin with all teams best 3, top 6, and then double elimination with the round 2s with the best of 3s, and all remaining matches best of 5s. Top 2 teams will get to MSI and to EWC, which is the Esports World Cup in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Or actually Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, by the way. So this is a huge deal, of course, for the LCP, who have been on a really high ever since CFO put on some pretty decent performances in their first stand tournament. Now, yes, that's mostly top teams dropping the ball, but don't let it fool you that the CTBC Flying Oyster has been benefited from their good performances at the first stand, despite the fact the tournament was kind of like fluky, of course. But if they can do well in an international tournament at MSI, then that will turn a lot of people's heads. Because yes, the first stand tournament was great, but it's not like a big tournament, of course. But MSI in Worlds is. And if LCP can turn a few heads and do a decent good performances against the LCK, maybe the LTA, and then maybe the LEC, maybe that will spook a little people. Maybe that will show that the LCP is nothing to play at, as we see from the last 2 years with Talon beating FlyQuest. So we'll see how the LCP can go. That is the end for the Flock of News Friday. As you are, please like and subscribe. Thank you for all the likes and views on your TikTok with the shorts that I curated, of course, with a little help from my friend. And thank you all for listening and sharing their comments and all kinds of stuff. We are so close, and I am literally so close right now to that magic number of 30 subscribers. And once I get to 30 subscribers, I'm gonna have a video coming up that will dedicate to the 30 subscribers, but everything that has been pretty good about League. Whether you like League or not, this video is a pretty much dedication. So if we hit 30 subscribers, the special video will come up. I think I know you all know what it is, but I just want the 30 subscribers. I just want the 30 subscribers so bad. I think I already have one, of course, but I'm not sure we're getting that a real number. So let's see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna look at my count and then we'll go in there. Yep. 29 subscribers. 29 subscribers, not much. Not much going on and not much viewership. But the shorts are doing well. The viewership are doing well. The shorts are doing fine. But they're doing well. If you want, please, please grow this number. 30 subscribers by the end of April. And if I do, I will upload that special video. I will do that. I will absolutely do that. This is not a joke. This is not something to laugh at. This is something that is like, oh, you promise and then you fail. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to keep my promises. Sometimes. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. If you like, please like and subscribe to this video. And if you have, do so. Share it with your friends and all your family members. Shout out to my grandmother. Shout out to all my family members, of course, for taking me out to the beach. Have a good time. And sharing my Easter holiday with them. It's been fun. It's been wholesome and it's been educational to them. So, anyways, thank you. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you next week. Bye bye.